Hi church, it's Fritz here again, sharing your devotion with you today. Hopefully you've engaged well and have enjoyed some of the short messages that you've received so far this week. And I am able today for us to have a look at God is my healer. And I don't know where you stand with any of this. It can often be such a tricky or difficult topic for people to talk about. Healing, because in some of my chats with people and you know, living through pastoral ministry in the last few years, I often come across people that find real disappointment in the area of healing because they've asked with such faith and in an atmosphere of faith and praise, and God has not produced the healing, and then it changes their prayer life. It changes how they connect with God, and before you know it, it changes how they walk with God. If it goes unchecked, and so it can be such a bit of a prickly pear to handle about what we think about healing, and is it relevant? Does God still do that stuff? And I want to say absolutely, God is my healer, and He can and is your healer. And coming off for me to say things like this as well, that comes off the back for me of losing my mum when I was about 20 or 21 to cancer, 2.5 years of that, and then her life just ended what seemed very premature at the age of about 47 or 48. And you know what? She was a Christian, she followed God, she had plenty of people pray with faith up and down the country, all over the world. She had faithful people who came to our house weekly to anoint her with oil, as it instructs in the Bible, and pray with her. And can I say that God is her healer? Because cancer ended her life early. You see the predicament with healing. And the predicament we can all find ourselves in. How do we weigh this stuff up? And what I'd like to suggest to you is that how we see healing isn't always how God sees healing. We want symptoms to be made better. We want symptoms to be treated, and we want certain things to be nullified and absent so that we don't feel sick anymore. And that would be great if that's what healing is all about. But God's way of healing isn't just symptomatic. It's also not just physical, but it's also it's the bigger than that. God is about bringing wholeness. And so let me read this for you. It says in Psalm 103, verse 1, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that's within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits." And here are His benefits. Listen to these. "Who forgives all your iniquity, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit, who crowns you with steadfast, loyal love and mercy, who satisfies you with good so that your youth is renewed like the eagles." What a wonderful list of benefits that we should not forget when we consider where we're at, while considering where God is at and what He's about. And one of those benefits, it says, heals all our diseases. And is that really something that we can pin everything to? Does He heal all your disease and all my disease? It depends how you interpret that, because we could in the physical world talk about conditions and diseases like cancers and rare things that doctors say there's no hope, there's no treatment, and things like that. But I think God is about more than that. We know the Bible talks about Him being more interested in, He looks on the inside while man looks on the outside. And really, I think the big heartaches and the big challenges and the big struggles in our life is very rarely because of physical conditions, that make it challenging for us. It's a lot to do with the disease that is sat there in our heart. That disease of sin, that disease of the fact that we just build grudges, the fact that we find it tough to forgive, the fact that we find it tough to let go of hurt and of pain, the fact that we mask over it and form hard shells over things that are disappointing and painful to us, stuff we don't want to open up about, that we don't talk about, and we make hard shells to cover that up, and before we know it, we've got hard hearts, not just towards the pain, but towards people, towards attitudes, towards change, towards God eventually. And I think the biggest disease to be grateful for that God has held is actually that disease that sits in our heart, that makes us completely human, that makes us require and need the touch and the life of God in us to set us free from the rubbish. And so God is my healer. One thing, He heals the diseases in my heart. That is first and foremost. Yes, He's powerful to heal the disease in your body, or if you've got that in your mind, or whatever that might be. But the diseases in our heart, the ones that cause us the biggest heartache. And I want to encourage you around that, that He can do that for you. From experience, we all want just to get better when we've got a disease. And my experience is, the more time I spend in the presence of God, the better I get. And so can I encourage you, ask God to examine your heart. Why don't you start by opening up things to Him that are well and deeply buried in your life and covered, and why don't you open up to God and say, I want to know You as my healer. He heals all our diseases. He can fix, He can process, He can deal with, He can eradicate, He can redeem any bit of unforgiveness, of disappointment, of pain, of anguish, of suffering in our lives. And that is my prayer. May you have a blessed day and enjoy the rest of the week. Amen.